How do you solve the Supreme Court? The body of 9 justices hold a great deal of power, and unfortunately for Democrats, it's very conservative. First, Republicans stopped Obama's appointment of Merrick Garland for Trump's choice, Neil Gorsuch. Then Brett Kavanaugh was appointed, despite 3 women accusing him of sexual misconduct. Liberals feared that the recent appointments of Gorsuch and Kavanaugh could lead to a conservative majority on the Supreme Court for a generation. Not only would progressive legislation be stalled, but previous liberal victories, such as abortion rights and gay rights, could be rolled back. So how do Democrats hope to change the fate of the Supreme Court? Packing it. What was once a radical idea is now being seriously considered by Democratic candidates for 2020.
One idea that I think is interesting is you have 15 members, but only 10 of them are appointed in the political fashion. 5 of them can only be seated by unanimous agreement of the other 10.
The Green New Deal is not the only inspiration taken from Franklin D. Roosevelt by modern-day Democrats. Back in 1937, the president proposed expanding the Supreme Court to as many as 15 judges, claiming it would make the Supreme Court more efficient. The GOP, however, begged to differ, arguing that he was trying to guarantee backing of his New Deal. But reorganization plans were abandoned before the bill came to a vote in Congress, after 2 Supreme Court justices came over to the liberal side to support his New Deal policies. Fast forward to today, and after Trump's 2 appointments, the idea has resurfaced. But is it actually possible? There's nothing in the Constitution mandating that the Supreme Court have only 9 members. So it could be increased to 11, 13, 15, or as many as you want. If one party controls the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they could flood the court with justices ideologically aligned to their point of view. But such a move would likely prove incredibly unpopular and would be decried by Republicans and right-wing media outlets as both authoritarian and a threat to America's democratic institutions.
No, we should not delegitimize the court in the eyes of the public by packing it with lefties from Harvard.
And once the genie is out of the bottle, it would be very hard to put it back in. Nothing would stop Republicans packing the court as soon as they gain control back, with both parties weakening and weaponizing the Supreme Court each time they seize power. The average age of a justice's departure has steadily increased since the mid-1940s, and it will continue this way as people live longer. A better solution for the Supreme Court's static membership might be to introduce term limits. The Supreme Court is an ancient institution that could potentially benefit from reform to reflect the times we live in. But this wouldn't actually solve the problem of a justice's political viewpoint.
Judge Kavanaugh, I am concerned whether you would treat every American equally, or instead show allegiance to the political party and the conservative agenda that has shaped and built your career.
It could also reduce the court's independence, as the public might associate presidential elections with the appointments that they would be eligible to make. Perhaps the threat of packing alone is enough to force the justices to be more moderate, just like what happened to FDR in 1937. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and if Democrats find themselves stifled the next time they are in power, they might see such a drastic move as their only option.